Chris Johnston, our NHL Network insider, joining us on the show right now. Chris, where do we stand as far as Mitch Marner and those negotiations? The latest reports we're seeing on social media that the offer's been extended. It's 7 or 8 years at an AAV of $11 million. So what's the hang-up right now?
Well, I'd say everything is real right now because now Mitch Marner is missing team activities, and the negotiations are spilling a little bit out into the public forum. And, what I can tell you is that the Leafs very much do not want a repeat of the William Nylander situation. Of course, they didn't sign him last season until December 1st. He missed all of camp, the preseason, 20-plus regular season games. And so as a result of that, they've been fairly aggressive in offering Mitch Marner a contract that they feel should get the deal done. And that's in that $11 million neighborhood. It's in John Tavares range. He has a 7-year deal at $11 million with the Leafs. I think that's something the Leafs would be more than happy to give Mitch Marner to get his signature on a contract. But at this point in time, Marner's camp is more focused on doing a 3-year deal. They feel that is the best way to protect themselves should the NHL's salary cap go up in the next couple of years, as is expected when some new TV deals kick in. Seattle joins the league. And so right now, I still think we're at a bit of a philosophical, loggerheads here, that it doesn't feel traction towards a deal. And as I say, now he's missing real time with the team. It's not paychecks or anything like that just yet. But this has gone to the next level because, there's just not a lot of momentum in these talks.
All right. Speaking of extensions, we just got off the horn with Bruce Cassidy, head coach of the Boston Bruins, fresh off his multi-year extension in Boston. Speaking of coaches, any other coaches out there that maybe have a extension coming down the pipe shortly?
Well, what I can tell you is that Bruce Cassidy is kind of an interesting case because he did have 1 year left on his current contract. And so this extension essentially removes him from being a lame duck coach in any way. And, on his deal, he ended up in the $3 million range, which puts him in the top half of coaches in the league. So I think that he's kind of an interesting case because, remember, it was 13 years that he had to wait from his first NHL head coaching job way back when with the Washington Capitals before he got that second chance with Boston. And obviously, they've enjoyed great success playing 6 playoff rounds these last 2 years, and he gets rewarded quite nicely. So, this is one where other coaches will be happy to see Bruce is a popular guy. And as I say, he's now in that next tier of NHL coaches, at least how he's going to be compensated.
All right. We know September 15th is a date a lot of hockey fans, both the players and management, owners, all have circled on their calendar. As far as the NHLPA goes and their decision to either opt out of the CBA or continue it on for the next couple of years, where do we stand as far as September 15th goes right now?
Well, the union is yet to put a vote to the players, so they haven't asked, the executive committee to make a decision on how exactly they'll handle that opt-out decision that comes Sunday. But, what I can tell you that's fairly interesting is that the NHL and the NHL Players Association have met now for 4 straight business days, going back to last Friday, as they try to continue to see if there's enough commonality here where they can maybe even extend the CBA. Make it almost moot how long, whether the players are going to, terminate it early or let it go through 2022. And so that seems to be the focus right now. And there really is still some cautious optimism that can get done. Not a lot of word leaking out of those rooms. Even some people traditionally that have been in the know on these kind of level of negotiations in the past seem to be in the dark. And there's a feeling in the sport that, that players' vote might end up not being as important if they're able to extend the CBA. So, they got a couple days here to try to get it across the finish line. And, in the meantime, we'll wait and see where they end up.
All right. Speaking of waiting and seeing where guys end up, what about Justin Falk and the odds that maybe his time in Carolina is coming to an end and the chances that he maybe waives his no-trade clause coming up?
Well, this is still a pure numbers game for the Carolina Hurricanes. When they signed Jake Gardiner as a free agent last week, Falk is the odd man out. And there have been a lot of discussions here in recent days with the Anaheim Ducks. There's a deal in place that would send Justin Falk to the Ducks. But, to this point in time, he hasn't waived a no trade clause that includes Anaheim listed on the teams he can't be traded to. And, there's been a ton of discussion behind the scenes. Falk, of course, has 1 year left on his deal, so he can be a free agent next year. There's a chance if he does waive to go to Anaheim that there's an extension in place that might entice him to do that. And it all hangs up right now in the clouds because he hasn't paved the way for that deal. I do believe even if Justin Falk doesn't end up waiving for the Ducks, that another trade will be completed because there is interest in him from other teams, including some teams that aren't on his no-trade list, meaning he won't have a say in terms of where he ends up.
All right, interesting stuff. We know you'll continue to follow it, and if you get the info, please pass it along to us. Chris Johnston, thank you so much. Enjoy the few remaining hours in your off-season because it all gets going tomorrow, you said.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock. Great
right.
to have camps opening.